She pointed at me. "This is my ex, a worthless community college dropout," loud enough for the entire cafe to hear. I smiled, "Hope you're happy," and walked away. Hours later, a name on a corporate announcement made her. "This happened yesterday, and I'm still processing it. I need some outside perspective because part of me is angry, but another part just feels sorry for my ex." Some background: I dated Ember for about 18 months. We broke up 6 weeks ago, largely because she became increasingly critical of what she saw as my lack of ambition. I work from home, don't have a traditional office job, and I dropped out of community college during my sophomore year when I was 19. The relationship deteriorated gradually over the final 6 months. Ember works as a marketing coordinator at a pharmaceutical company, and she's very concerned with appearances and credentials. She started making comments about my lifestyle around month 12 of our relationship. It began with subtle suggestions that I should dress more professionally or network with successful people, but escalated to direct criticism about my education and career choices. I remember one particularly bad conversation, about 3 months before we broke up. We were at her company's holiday party, and she spent the entire evening introducing me as someone who was between opportunities instead of explaining what I actually do. When I asked her about it later, she said, "What am I supposed to tell my colleagues? That my boyfriend is a college dropout who works from home in sweatpants?" To be fair, from the outside, my life probably doesn't look impressive. I spend most days at my computer in comfortable clothes. I don't have a traditional office space, and I don't have any degrees hanging on my wall. Ember constantly compared me to her co-workers' husbands, lawyers, doctors, other marketing professionals with MBA degrees. She talked about how embarrassing it was that I never finished my education, and how her friends were starting to ask questions about my career prospects. The final straw came when she suggested I go back to school to at least get an associate's degree, so she wouldn't have to feel ashamed when people asked about my background. That's when I realized we had fundamentally different values about what constitutes success and worth. The truth is, I dropped out to focus on app development full-time. I've been working on various projects for years, and one of them, a productivity app called TaskFlow, has become pretty successful. But I've never been one to brag about business stuff, and honestly, Ember never seemed interested in the technical details of what I actually do. Yesterday, I was at Roasted Bean Coffee Shop downtown working on some code updates when Ember walked in with a guy I didn't recognize. She saw me immediately, and, instead of just acknowledging me politely and moving on, decided to make a scene. She walked over with her new boyfriend and said loudly enough for half the coffee shop to hear, "This is my ex I told you about. Trading up to someone with class, not a community college dropout." Her new boyfriend, later learned his name is Crew and he's a corporate lawyer, looked visibly uncomfortable with the public humiliation. He actually seemed embarrassed by her behavior and tried to steer her away from my table. "Ember, maybe we should just order and sit down," he said quietly. But she wasn't done. "No, I want you to see what I used to settle for. This is what happens when you don't have standards." I looked up from my laptop and said calmly, "Good for you, Ember. Hope you're happy." "Oh, I'm very happy," she replied. Finally dating someone who actually has a future, someone who went to real schools and has a real career. Crew looked mortified. "Ember, come on, this isn't necessary." I ordered my coffee and sat down at a corner table to continue working, but I couldn't help overhearing her continuing to elaborate to Crew about how embarrassing it had been dating someone without education or career prospects. She talked about how her co-workers used to ask what I did for a living and how she never knew what to say. I mean, what do you tell people when your boyfriend dropped out of community college and works from home doing whatever it is he does, she said. At least now I can be proud of who I'm with. The barista, Sage Drummond, who owns the coffee shop and knows me as a regular customer, gave me a sympathetic look from behind the counter. Sage has seen me working there for years and always asks about my projects with genuine interest. The whole interaction probably lasted about 10 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. Other customers were definitely staring, and I could tell Crew was becoming increasingly uncomfortable with Ember's behavior. Here's the thing she doesn't know. TaskFlow, the app I built, is actually used by thousands of companies as productivity software. Her pharmaceutical company licenses the enterprise version for their employees. Ember uses it every single day at work. I've seen screenshots of her computer when we were dating, and task flow is literally pinned to her taskbar. She's been unknowingly using my creation daily while mocking me for being a failure. I haven't told her the truth because honestly, what would be the point? She's made it clear that she values credentials over actual achievement, and that's not the kind of person I want to be with anyway. But the public humiliation yesterday really stung, especially since she was so wrong about everything. Part of me wants to say something, but another part thinks the high road is just letting her live in her ignorance. What would you do? Update 1. The situation has gotten more absurd since my last post. My former community college roommate Jet Caldwell showed me some of Ember's recent social media activity, and it's honestly embarrassing for her. She's been posting extensively about upgrading to educated men and leaving losers behind. One post from last week read, "Finally found someone who appreciates intelligence and ambition. No more settling for men who peaked in community college orientation week. #standards and know your worth." Another post showed a picture of her and crew at some upscale restaurant with the caption, "Date nights hit different when you're with someone who can actually afford nice things and stimulating conversation. PSA. Education matters, ladies. Don't waste time on men who think dropping out is a life choice instead of a failure." She tags her new boyfriend Crew constantly, showing off his law firm job and boasting about finally dating someone with a future. The posts are so over the top that even mutual friends have been reaching out to ask if I've seen them and if I'm okay. Jet sent me screenshots of her Instagram stories from this past weekend, including one where she posted a photo of Crew's diploma hanging in his apartment with the caption, "This is what success looks like. Ivy League education. Actual prospects. Community college dropouts need not apply." But here's where it gets interesting. I got a text from Vale Morrison, who works with Ember at the pharmaceutical company. Vale and I became friends during one of Ember's work events, and she's always been genuinely curious about my projects. Vale said their company just expanded their task flow license for 2,000 additional employees due to positive feedback from the current users. The decision was made after several department heads, including Ember's marketing team, submitted enthusiastic reports about the software's impact on productivity. According to Vale, Ember has been one of TaskFlow's biggest advocates in their marketing department. During last Monday's productivity meeting, Ember apparently gave a 15-minute presentation about TaskFlow's features, calling it a revolutionary productivity tool and suggesting the company invest heavily in similar software solutions. She literally said, "This app has transformed how I organize my projects. It's intuitive, powerful, and exactly what modern professionals need," Vale told me. Then she recommended that we partner with more innovative tech companies like this one because they understand what actually makes people productive. The irony is staggering. She's publicly mocking my failure, while actively promoting my creation to her entire company. She's literally helping to grow my business while posting about how she dodged a bullet by leaving me. Vale also mentioned that Ember has been pushing for TaskFlow to be featured in their client newsletter as an example of cutting-edge business tools their company uses to stay competitive. She's essentially marketing my work to potential customers while calling me a loser online. I'm torn between finding this hilarious and feeling genuinely bad for her. She's so focused on surface-level credentials that she can't recognize actual achievement when it's right in front of her face, or in this case, on her computer screen every single day. Jet thinks I should tell her the truth, but honestly, I'm curious to see how far this goes. Her social media campaign about choosing quality men and avoiding unmotivated dropouts is getting noticed by people who might know who I actually am. Some mutual friends from community college have started liking and commenting on her posts with cryptic messages like, "This is interesting," and "Are you sure about this?" She hasn't picked up on the hints yet. Update 2. This week brought an unexpected development that's making the whole situation more complicated. Paige Sterling, a tech journalist, published an article in TechCrunch about rising young entrepreneurs under 30, and TaskFlow was featured prominently. The article discusses the app's current $50 million valuation and trajectory toward $100 million. It includes a detailed breakdown of our user base, over 500,000 individual users and partnerships with more than 2,000 companies across various industries. The piece mentions that I left the traditional education path at 19 to pursue entrepreneurship full-time, and includes my photo, company details, and success metrics. The article quotes me saying, "Traditional education works for many people, but I realized early that I learned best by building things and solving real problems. TaskFlow started as a personal productivity tool because I was frustrated with existing options. When other people started asking to use it, I knew I had something valuable." Within hours of publication, several people were tagging Ember on social media, asking if she knew that her ex had made national business news. I could watch the situation unfold in real time through the comments and tags. Initially, Ember dismissed it completely. She commented on the first tag, "Must be a different person with the same name." The Aspen I knew barely graduated high school. When friends provided photo evidence and links to the article, she claimed the photo must be old and that anyone can get lucky with one app. But as more people shared the article and the evidence became undeniable, I watched her panic through her social media activity. She started deleting some of her more inflammatory posts about dropouts and losers. However, she left up the posts about crew and trading up, doubling down on the credentials over achievement mentality. Her response to one concerned friend was particularly telling. Education and class still matter. One successful app doesn't change the fact that someone dropped out of community college. Anyone can get lucky in tech. Meanwhile, the article started circulating in professional circles. Crew's law firm partner Knox Blackwood apparently brought it up during a Monday morning partners meeting, mentioning that TaskFlow was one of the productivity tools their firm had been considering for a potential client contract. Interesting that this young entrepreneur is local, Knox apparently told Crew. His app has been gaining traction in our client portfolio recommendations. According to mutual acquaintances, Crew realized the connection, but hasn't told Ember yet. He's apparently been asking subtle questions about her past relationships and my background, trying to piece together the timeline. I'm honestly fascinated by the psychology here. Even with concrete evidence of success that contradicts everything she's said about me, Ember is choosing to minimize and dismiss it rather than admit she was wrong about my potential. Vale Morrison told me that the TaskFlow article has been circulating at Ember's pharmaceutical company too. Their IT department shared it in their internal newsletter as an example of innovative solutions we're proud to partner with. Vale said several people in marketing have made comments about the article, with some asking if anyone knew the founder was local. "I think people are starting to connect the dots," Vale told me, "especially since Ember has been so vocal about TaskFlow's benefits. It's going to be awkward when someone figures out the connection. The whole situation feels surreal. I'm getting congratulations from people I haven't talked to in years. Industry contacts are reaching out about potential partnerships, and my ex continues posting about how she upgraded from dating me." Jet sent me a screenshot of her latest post from yesterday. "Success isn't just about money. It's about character, education, and long-term vision. Some people get lucky breaks, but true success comes from dedication to excellence and proper preparation. Grateful to be with someone who understands that." The cognitive dissonance is remarkable. She's redefining success in real time to exclude what I've accomplished. Final update. Yesterday morning, everything came to a head in a way I never could have predicted. Ember's pharmaceutical company held an all-hands meeting about new productivity initiatives. According to Vale Morrison, who was in the meeting, the CEO had planned to announce several new technological partnerships, with TaskFlow being the flagship announcement. The CEO started by talking about how the company was investing in cutting-edge solutions to improve efficiency, Vale told me. He said they'd been working with several innovative tech companies, but one partnership had exceeded all expectations. That's when he decided to bring me in via video call to discuss the expanded partnership. Vale said the moment was surreal. The CEO introduced me as a young entrepreneur who's revolutionizing workplace productivity, and mentioned that TaskFlow had become integral to our daily operations across all departments. So there I was, appearing on the conference room screen in front of Ember's entire company, talking about how excited we are to triple our engagement with your organization, and discussing our roadmap for enterprise features that would specifically benefit their pharmaceutical workflows. "We've been thrilled to see how your teams have embraced TaskFlow," I said during the call. The feedback we've received has directly influenced our development priorities, and we're committed to building features that will make your workflows even more efficient. Vale said. Ember went completely rigid in her chair as the CEO praised the young visionary who revolutionized our workflow. The entire marketing department, the same people who've heard Ember trash talk her loser ex-boyfriend for weeks, slowly realized that the guy she'd been mocking had built the software they rely on every single day. I could see people starting to put it together, Vale told me, especially when you mentioned being based locally and talked about starting the company after leaving college early to focus on development. A few people looked directly at Ember during that part. After the meeting, chaos ensued. According to Vale, Ember immediately went to the bathroom and didn't come out for 20 minutes. When she finally emerged, her face was red, and she looked like she'd been crying. Several co-workers approached her throughout the day. One marketing colleague apparently said, "Wait, wasn't your ex named Aspen? And didn't you say he was a college dropout who worked from home? Is that?" Another person from her team mentioned that they'd been wondering about her social media posts. Someone said they saw your posts about dating a dropout, but then they saw the TaskFlow founder article and thought the name sounded familiar. The IT department head apparently made it worse by stopping by marketing to thank Ember personally for her enthusiastic reports about TaskFlow. "Your feedback has been invaluable," he told her. "It's great that we now have a direct partnership with the founder. You should feel proud of identifying such a game-changing tool early on." She started calling me frantically around noon. I didn't answer the first few calls, but when she sent a series of increasingly desperate texts, I finally responded. Her messages included, "We need to talk immediately. Why didn't you tell me about your company? This is humiliating," and "You should have said something." When she demanded an explanation for why I hid my success, I responded simply, "You never asked what I actually did for a living. You assumed dropping out meant failure." Her response was immediate. "You could have corrected me. You let me look stupid," I replied. "You made assumptions and then publicly humiliated me based on those assumptions. I wasn't obligated to correct your narrative, especially when you never showed genuine interest in understanding my work." That weekend, the situation with Crew came to a head. According to Knox Blackwood, who heard the story secondhand, Crew had spent the week processing the revelation and discussing it with his law partners. Knox told mutual friends that Crew confronted Ember Saturday evening. "I can't continue dating someone who publicly mocked a multi-millionaire entrepreneur for not having a degree. Beyond the obvious poor judgment about his success, it shows something troubling about your character, how you treat people you perceive as beneath you." Crew apparently continued, "My firm has been discussing TaskFlow acquisition opportunities for months. I've been sitting in meetings where partners praise this company's innovation while dating someone who calls the founder a loser dropout. It's embarrassing professionally and personally." Knox also revealed that their law firm had been considering representing TaskFlow in some upcoming partnerships. The irony is that Ember could have been connected to our biggest potential client of the year, but instead she chose to publicly attack him. The social fallout has been swift and brutal. Ember's co-workers have started distancing themselves after learning she publicly humiliated the entrepreneur their company now has a major partnership with. Several people unfollowed her on social media, and those who remained started leaving pointed comments on her old posts. One former mutual friend commented on her Trading Up post, "This aged poorly," with a link to the TechCrunch article. Her social media posts about Trading Up have become a source of professional embarrassment. Vale told me that people at work have been talking about the situation, not maliciously, but with a kind of stunned disbelief. "Everyone's processing how someone could be so wrong about a person they dated for 18 months, Vale said. "It's made people question her judgment in general." She deleted her Instagram and Twitter accounts this week and, according to Vale, requested a transfer to a different department to avoid the daily reminders of her misjudgment. "She can't handle using TaskFlow anymore," Vale told me. "Every time she opens the app, she's reminded of how wrong she was. She's asked to be moved to projects that don't require the software." 3 months after that coffee shop humiliation, TaskFlow is now valued at $75 million, largely due to partnerships with companies like Ember's pharmaceutical firm. There was actually a follow-up article specifically crediting how our enterprise partnerships have driven growth. As for me, I'm still living the same modest lifestyle, still working from home in comfortable clothes, still focused on building useful software. The difference is that now I have a much clearer understanding of what I want in a partner. Someone who values character and achievement over credentials and appearances. My friend Jet has been joking that this whole thing was the most expensive lesson in not judging books by their covers ever taught. He's not wrong. I genuinely hope Ember learns from this experience. Intelligence, creativity, and success come in many forms, and some of the most innovative people I know never finish traditional educational paths. The world would be a better place if more people understood that. But I also can't say I'm sorry that her public humiliation campaign backfired so spectacularly. Sometimes the universe has a sense of justice.